did this part. So I guess maybe we can, what we thought of doing is maybe to get some input from them and then to do it, because in our case in JRC, we never did to put the things on. But yeah, to access it remotely, of course, with the IP, you can if you are within the same network, you can access with your IP. So since the e-station itself, I'm just saying about the e-station software. I'm not 100% sure about other components of the e-station. I mean the Mesa Station PC1, because that one, since I was not one to develop it, so I cannot answer that part. But for sure, for the e-station software, because what you see on the PC2, like localhost, it opens the PC2 dashboard, and then from there you can check the processing, acquisition, all these things. This can be directly accessed remotely from any other PC, just with the IP address. So if you know the IP address, and if you are within the network, by default, if you access the IP address, if you just put the IP address on the URL browser, you can open the eStation software, because eStation software runs on the Apache web server, and with a normal IP, it should be able to access the software, eStation software itself. But on other components, like for the DVB service or the telecast monitoring tool, this one I'm not sure whether you can access from outside, because it is very specific to PC1. And of course, it is not that it is impossible to do that, but definitely it is possible. But I wouldn't suggest to change anything to do the visualization of the IP to view the telecast monitoring. Maybe we could ask Simona on this part, but the eStation software, it's definitely accessible. So this is on that part. And then DHCP, I guess Marco can explain on that one, since we discuss about it. And I see another question. Yeah, importance getting the data remotely, of course. Yeah, if you want to use the eStation software, yeah, you have to use the URL, the IP address to open it. But if you want to access the PC, it's up to within the institution. Of course, you can access with the IP if you are connected. So it shouldn't be a problem to access the data. Once you are within the network, you can open the folder file system which I described, and you can yeah, okay, good. So, and yeah, just for the dynamic IP, I'm not sure whether Marco is back. So we were checking something, so I was expecting to hear from Marco, but okay, if not, maybe we resume the session, and after that we hear from him. Hi, Marco.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vijay. Just to complement what you said about the telecast, indeed you can reach this page of the telecast through the browser by indicating the IP. And the port, I think, is 8300. I will double check and write down in the chat. But also the telecast interface, which allows you to see how the telecast is going. So it's active, the file is incoming, the log files, the channels you are connected to. This is also visible through a web interface. Now, back to this point of the DHCP. What is very important is that on each of the computer, the IPs of the other computers are defined into this etc host file. And also the aliases, PC1, Mesa PC1, PC2, Mesa PC2, and PC3. Why? Because there are some communication between the computers, and the correct IPs has to be indicated within this host file. Because the aliases are actually used in many places. And the reason for that is that when you go to recovery mode, they will see that tomorrow. But for instance, PC2 is taking over also the duties of PC1. So PC3, for instance, will refer to PC1 not with the IP, but with the alias MISA PC1. And so that's why this etc host file has to be up to date. And so it's very important that these and other configuration files are updated. For instance, there is a PostgreSQL configuration file which allows the computer is in a subnet, grants to this computer specific credentials, specific privilege in order to access the PostgreSQL server and run some scripts. And similarly for the rsync, which is behind this data synchronization we have seen presented by Vijay in the morning. So in order to have all these files, the configuration files of the different services well configured, you have to run this IP change menu from as demonstrated just before the break by Vijay, because manually would be very long, complicated, and prone to errors. So this IP change menu from the CentOS menu is very important as is the entry point for changing the IPs. Now, that said, DHCP cannot really work if we connect dynamically by changing every time the IPs of a computer, because these files are not going to be, configuration files are not to be updated. So every computer is going to sit on the LAN, on the local network, but this configuration is not updated by the DHCP mechanism, and the computers are not going to be able to communicate with each other. So I've seen briefly, I can also share with my screen, that there are ways in order to associate the, I think you see my screen now, to statically say associate the MAC address with a specific IP, a desired IP, so that also the DHCP service will always allocate the same IP to that machine. So I think this is the way to go for. And once you have done that and you know what is the IP of each of the three computers and the UPS as well, because UPS is also an important component to be connected, then you can run this script to update all the configuration file on the three computers and the UPS as well. UPS is important, has to be connected because of this shutdown procedure. Because, as we have seen always presented by Vijay, the UPS has to be able to communicate and reboot, actually shut down the computers according to the battery status. So I don't know if this clarifies the question. So Youssef, was you, I think, raising the question on the DHCP, and I hope it is now clear. I think so. Thank you very much. Now there was another question. What about security? What do you mean exactly? As I said already, well, there are some configuration files. The security is set, for instance, not everyone in the LAN might be able to run the different services like, okay. No, I don't think is there anything specific to set it up. The system in itself is not really secure, meaning that when you access the computer, well, you will see that there are different level of users. There is the analyst, which is the final user, so the thematician who is able to run from the GUI, the user interface, the services. So run, stop, restart, check the log files, and so on. And all the data we are seeing in the data processing, they belong actually to analyst, which is also important to know. Then the second level is the administrator, so the admin user, who is able to run, for instance, the software upgrade. So this is the IT people in charge of maintaining the system. And while the data and the analysis, the user interface somehow is associated to the analyst, the file system, the installation of the packages under CentOS, the Python packages as well, these all belong to the admin user. And then there is the highest level, which is the root level. And in the design of the system, Telespazio decide to, for instance, restrict only to this user some operation like changing the IPs, which might be, in my view, also granted to the admin user. But okay, as it is not a major problem. Important is that you know which user you have to use for logging in for a given operation, what we try to make clear in the current videos and in this training session. That said, there is no really strict configuration for securing the system. The data are going to be presented to everyone. I think that when you access the user interface from another computer, user interface of the station, we've seen presented by Vijay with all the tabs for acquisition, processing, visualization, and so on. You do that as analyst. So this is the lowest security level. Okay, hope, okay, prego, Youssef, you're most welcome. So if there is no any other question on that, I think we can proceed with what was foreseen for our afternoon session. So Vijay, maybe you can continue.
Yeah, okay.
Presentations.
Yeah, I'm going to continue with the UPS part. I hope you see the screen. So yeah, in the component, one of the thing which we want to discuss in detail is, let me start from the beginning. Yeah, the UPS. So we already saw the basic arrangements of the UPS. Now we would like to see in detail about the UPS. So when you see the Mesa station UPS, it is from the APC. So the configuration and the display are almost the same. So you see what it denotes. So when you want to maintain the UPS and to check if it is functioning properly, you should check the following things. So if it is on, of course, important thing to check. And if it is, if the third point is actually if the UPS or if the UPS is working on the battery, if there is a power failure, you see the light on the point 3, which is blinking, which says that it is working on the battery, and you hear some sound, so which indicates that it is working on the battery and there is no power supply from the external unit. So another thing is, if there is a site wiring fault, you see a red light blinking on the point 4, which is the third button or third lamp on the UPS screen below the on off button. And a very frequent a problem will be replacement of battery. So after a specific lifetime, it is necessary to replace the battery. So it you see the red light blinking on the point 5, which is the fourth lamp, uh, which says that you have to replace the battery. So if you see this indication, which means that you can check the UPS manual how to replace the battery and what is the battery which you have to buy. So this will be described in the UPS APC manual, which is also attached in the also in the DLP and also in the Google Classroom. So you can find the detailed session of the manual to replace the battery. So this is a common problem which is faced by a lot of institution on replacing the battery. And other things are normal stuff when you want to. This will be the display where it also says that the battery is not functioning properly, so you have to replace it. So if you want to check some change or check some of the configuration, you can go to the menu by clicking on the enter and navigate to the different options and then select those or escape button to get back to the normal state. So this is the important UPS screen and the functionality which you perform when you do the maintenance. So make sure maybe next time when you see the Mesa station, try to check for the battery if it is working properly, if the battery is in good condition or it has to be replaced. So this is the important step on the maintenance of the UPS. So as I mentioned in the introduction, it is also important to plug in the Mesa station properly in this specific groups. It is very important for the usage of the Mesa station because when there is a power failure, the UPS is configured in such a way that it try to shut down the PCs based on this group. So the group 3 is the place where you have to insert the PC1 CPU and PC1 display and then the Ethernet switch. And group 3 is very important part of the Mesa station functionality. So it goes in the group 3, and then in group 1 you should insert the PC2 monitor and PC2 CPU, and then in the group 2 you insert the PC3 monitor and CPU. So this is how it has to be inserted. So when you turn your UPS, you find this marking saying group 3, group 1, group 2. So the reason for configuring or inserting in that particular group is because when there is a power failure, it starts to work in the battery backup, and after 5 minutes, that is after 240 seconds, what it happens is it tries to shut down the PC attached to the group 1. So this PC, which is PC2 CPU and the monitor, which shut downs after 240 seconds, which is approximately 5 minutes. And then after that, after the shutdown of group 1 machines, which is PC2, it after 300 seconds, it also shut down the PC3 display and then the CPU. So this part of the thing is configured in order to shut down. uh, why? Because the PC1 is a very important component, as I mentioned before, for the data reception. So when you miss, in case of PC2 and PC3, as you know, it is mostly for the visualization. You are not going to use it for any processing. So you don't need it, or it is not really urgent to have the PC3 working when there is a power failure. So same in case of PC2, because it does the processing. Once the data is there, whenever the PC2 is active, it can start to process the data. But PC1 is very important in the data reception. If the PC1 is shut down for 15 minutes, the data received from the UMATcast on that particular 15 minutes will be lost. So in order to manage this thing, this configuration is set up in order to have it working. So the group 3 lasts till the battery is available. So this is how the UPS is configured, and it is a very important thing to be noted. So when you relocate the Mesa station or try to replug stuff, make sure to have the PCs connected in this order, that PC1 and the Ethernet switch should go in group 3, and other PC2 in group 1, and then PC3 in group 2. So this is also a very important step which you have to note. And also maybe next time when you try to maintain the Mesa station, do this check in order to see if they are properly attached to the same group. So yeah, this is about the UPS. So if anyone have some doubt on this, let me know or raise your hand so that we can also discuss it quickly before going to the next topic on recovery mode. I guess the UPS is something which is important to know. So any questions or any doubts on this, or anyone wants to comment extra additional information, feel free to do that. Okay, I assume there is
Okay, so maybe I will just do a remark here on the UPS. So
okay.
this is a component that has been added to the station in the Mesa station. In the AMD station was not completely there, was not as strong as it is now, because in the past, in the AMD project, we saw that a lot of hard disk were damaged by the sudden shutdown of the computer in case of power cut. So I think we're seeing, I mean, at least according to what I saw, the feedbacks I received, now situation is going better, and this UPS is protecting the system, the computers, because actually UPS has several functionalities. One, which was highlighted by Vijay now, is to ensure continuity in the operation, especially for the data reception, because what you miss in the reception from a UMATcast, which is a near real-time broadcasting system, is lost. I mean, is near real-time dissemination. If you miss 3, 4, 5 hours, then this data will never be available through UMATcast anymore. So this is one of the goals of UPS is data continuity, but the other one is also protection of the computers. UPS has also functionality which is filtering the spikes coming from the network of power supply. And also the correct switch off of a computer is also very important in order to protect them. So you cannot really unplug the plug of the computer, because then everything and the hard disk in particular can be damaged by this operation. So there is also the protection one. So UPS is important. In my view, has been working well on the Mesa station. There can be a problem of a battery to be replaced. An important thing, and we are going to come back to that in the coming session, especially for the installation, is that UPS has to be connected when you do the installation of a computer, because otherwise some specific RPM for communicating with the UPS are not going to be installed. And that was also the problem that maybe you spot when we presented the dashboard. So this is another element to keep in mind, that UPS communicates with the rest of the Mesa station. The 3 computers has to be in the same LAN with the correct configuration, and has to be connected to the computers when you do the installation of the Mesa station on the computer themselves. Yeah, thanks, was my remark.
Yep, thank you, Marco. So yeah, I hope it's clear. So maybe we could proceed to the next topic, which is also important on putting the Mesa station on the recovery mode. So when do you put the Mesa station on the recovery mode? So the idea is when any one of the PC is broken, or because of some issue, if you cannot use the PC, you can put this PC in the recovery mode, so that one of the operation of the PC3 is taken care by PC2, or if the PC2 is broken, the operation of PC2 is taken care by PC3. So this is the overall functionality of the recovery mode. Also, as I in the overall architecture, I showed that the PC2 has also the DVB card, because if the PC1 is broken, you can also put you can make it in you can do a recovery mode in order to make the PC2 work as a PC1. So this is what also someone asked, if the EKU key should be inserted in the PC1. Yes, by default, the PC1 is connected with the DVB cable and the EKU key. But in case of any problem with the PC1, you can also put it in the recovery mode to make the PC2 work as a PC1. So this is how it is designed. So yeah, and with respect to the hardware, PC2 and PC1, they are redundant, because they are exactly same, except in the PC2 there is an additional component, which is the DVB card. Apart from that, they can function exactly in the same way of with each other. So, and what happens is, as I mentioned also before, on the data synchronization. So once the data is processed in the PC2, it sync or pushes the data from PC2, not really push, but it makes a copy of the data from PC2 to PC3. So it is very useful when you put on the recovery mode. The operation is also um, replicated on the PC3 without any data loss. Also, it is also important to note that if you want to take the data from not only from the PC2 but also from the PC3. So if PC2 is broken, you can put it in the recovery mode and make the PC3 work as PC2, and resuming from the point where it was broken. So that is a good important thing to note in the recovery mode. So same like the data synchronization, there is also the DB synchronization. So if any of the DB configuration is changed in one of the PC, is also reflected to the PC3. So generally, maybe it is not used on the PC3 unless if the Mesa station is put on the recovery mode by mentioning that the PC2 is broken, or vice versa. So yeah, you see that there is two schema which I described, which is important for the E-station software functionality, that is the product schema and then the analysis schema. So any change, there is also things vice versa, because you can also edit some of the component on the PC3, because in the analysis tab, you can create your own workspace. That workspace is actually the combination of a number of maps and graphs, which is put together and created as a template, which can be saved under your username, and which can be retrieved when you log out and then again log in after days in order to create the bulletin or report. So this these functionalities are stored in the database. So this will be also copied between these two PCs, so that they have the exactly same contents also in the database. In case of PC2, the product schema can be changed if you try to change something, and it will be also made copy on the PC3. So this is a very useful thing when we put one of the PC on the recovery mode. Yeah, this is about it. So here in this diagram, you see what is the operation of each of the PC in the nominal mode. So in the nominal mode, as I mentioned before, the PC2 does the data sync from PC2 to PC3 and the DB sync on both the ways, because the analysis schema can be modified on the PC2, PC3, and the product schema can be modified on PC2. So these things can be synchronized on both the side in the nominal mode. So all these things are active. Both these things or both these functionalities are active in any mode actually. So in the nominal mode in this case. So the get service is actually the data acquisition service. So it can be either UMATcast or a internet source. So this functionality is also operational in the nominal mode. It is operational only in the PC2. It cannot in the nominal mode. PC3 cannot directly receive the data, so that is why it is not available. So the acquisition service is applicable only for the PC2 in the nominal mode. Same like the acquisition service, there is also the pre-processing service for the format conversion and make the data available in the eStation defined format. So that is also applicable only to the PC2 in the nominal mode. So PC3 cannot do the pre-processing or the processing. So this is about the PC2, and importantly, you cannot visualize the data from the eStation software, that is the analysis tab. You don't see the analysis tab in the PC2 in the nominal mode. So that is why you see the visualization is marked as red. So it is a only functionality which is applicable to the PC2 during the nominal mode. So you can PC2 does all the processing, data acquisition, and push it to PC3 the data, and then you visualize the data in the analysis tab. You create maps, charts, and then other reports from the PC2, PC3. This is not applicable to PC2 in the nominal mode. Whereas when you put the Mesa station in the recovery mode, assuming that PC3 is broken. So what happens is, if when you activate the recovery mode, then the visualization will be also active on the PC2. So you also see the analysis tab on the PC2. So the PC3 is broken, so you have to rectify it. So it doesn't really do the data sync or the DB sync, since the PC3 is not functional. So this is about the recovery mode if PC3 is broken. So same like that, uh, here in this case, the recovery mode when PC2 is broken. So when the PC2 is broken, PC3 takes all the functionality of PC2, which is the data acquisition, ingestion service, and the processing service, and along with the visualization service, which is by default applicable to the PC3 on the nominal mode. So all these are taken care within the same PC. So how to identify if the PC is in nominal mode or recovery mode is to see the dashboard where I already shown, and I'll be also showing here. So you can, when you have a look, you can easily identify if the PC is in a recovery mode or in nominal mode. So this is about the recovery mode of the PC2 and PC3, whereas the recovery mode of PC1. So we also call the recovery mode as a failover mode, because in the option of in the Mesa station configuration setting, it is mentioned as failover mode, which is also of course known as recovery mode. Whereas here now we will see what if PC1 is broken. So this is not really a very common case, because if PC1 is broken, since PC2 has the DVB card, you can attach the DVB cable to PC2 and also take the EKU key and insert in the PC2 and then make it to work as a PC1. So this is the another important functionality of PC2, which is not applicable to the PC3. So if you even if PC1 is broken, you cannot make PC3 to do the functionality of PC1 because there is no DVB card. So this is another important thing to note about the PC1 recovery mode. So yeah, so this was already seen. So when you when to put the PC2 and PC3 in the recovery mode. So I guess, yeah, this is about the recovery or failover mode. And in the upcoming slides, we have a case study to show you how to put the PC2 in the recovery mode and reinstall the system. So before going on to that, I would like to know if someone has any doubts, or if someone wants to add some comment on this, please let me know. Okay, assume there is not many comments. Yeah, anybody?
A question from my side. I think a number of people in the audience, the participants, they have a Mesa station with them in their institution, and they are the IT administrator of this system. So my question is, has any one of you now a station which is in recovery mode?
Yeah, you can maybe write the comment in the chat so that we can see, and then we can discuss about it. So we just, maybe I show you the interface so that you know, or you can check if you're close to the PC. You can also check if the Mesa station is in recovery mode or not. So when you log into the PC as an administrator, or okay, any of the user, you can log in as you can see the dashboard where you see the mode, which is either nominal or recovery mode. Also, if you go to the system tab, you see the you see also from the system tab, you can see if it is in nominal mode or recovery mode here. So Marco wants to know if someone who have access to Mesa station, if their PC is in recovery mode. So yeah, let us know if anyone. No.
I think you can also intervene by voice, no?
Yeah, I guess there are not many people. No, I don't think I received the answer. Yeah, maybe I just repeat that if any of your Mesa station is in recovery mode, we would like to know. Okay, maybe we could continue, Marco, or we can also take a survey later about this. Okay, Marco, can we proceed with the next session?
Yeah, I think so. So this initial session was to present what is the status, the structure of the system, the role of the different components, how it is expected to run in nominal mode, so with PC1 receiving the data, PC2 doing the processing, and PC3 the visualization. So we covered a number of topics. We know that there's plenty of information, and maybe we are proceeding a bit fast on that. You can also type in the chat any feedback about the pace we are having now, if it is too fast or too slow, if it is okay with you. And so there is a number of references like the IP addresses of the station in nominal mode, a number of procedures that have been displayed by using the videos. So these all these resources are going to stay there in the DLP. So in case you might need to go back to them, they are going to be there, and we are planning also to use them for the user support. So in case now so far we have been mainly interacting by sending instructions by email. What we are going to be able in the future, basing on these videos, is also to send the link of the YouTube videos to the user in order to go to there and see how you perform some operations. And yourself, I know that some of you, like Henri, Viola, I saw them connected in the morning. They do also maintenance on the station delivered at the national level. So the people of you who are in charge also of supporting the activities and the maintenance of a station at a third institution, you can indeed reuse these resources in order to share this information to the people that might need this information. So unless there is any question from you, maybe some part you want to go back to look at in detail. Otherwise, we are going to continue with the next session, which is on the installation of the system, installation of the MESA station.
Yeah. Or maybe before proceeding with that, maybe I would like to show you the playlist on the maintenance of the YouTube, so that it will be also useful for them to have a look. So I share my, yeah. So yeah. So I hope everyone see my screen. So what I did is I tried to open the eStation 2 YouTube page. So you can, of course, you can always Google it on the search. So you find, if you type eStation 2, you will find our channel, which is eStation 2 minus Joint Research Center, where we uploaded all the videos. So once you're here, we can also show you our playlist. So maybe I will also copy the link and add it to our DLP as well as our material. So yeah, here you find in the eStation page, you see the playlist. So in the playlist, of course, there is a lot of videos, and maybe some of them are removed. So I will also clear a bit. Maybe it's not working. Okay, I have to log in as my user, the eStation user, then I'll remove some of the things. Okay, anyways, I can do that later. So this is the eStation GRC YouTube channel, and you find the playlist. So I guess, yeah, okay, it is there, but some of the deleted videos are not appearing first, so you see that it is deleted. But I will clear all those things and then make you available just these videos. So according to the session what we saw this morning, it is available, of course not in order, since we tried to remove and add things, so it is not in a proper order. But from the session, you see the the numbers 1.1, which correspond to our session 1, and then the first topic on Mesa Station overview, and then the Mesa Station LAN overview, followed by other things, and of course the session 2, which is named as with the letter number 2, so which we are going to see now. So likely, yeah, other videos will be also there. Of course, I will remove all other deleted videos so that the playlist is very clear. So I will do this clearing later. So for now, we can proceed with the next topic, which is the maintenance, specifically on installation and upgrade. So yeah, so in this session, we will see how to prepare the installation and how to install a PC, and specific PC2. We made a case study in order to see the PC2 is broken. We wanted to reinstall from scratch, and then what are the things to be done before the installation, and what are the things to be done immediately after the installation, and also to see how the eStation software is upgraded each time when it is sent through the UMatcast dissemination. So these are the topics which we are going to cover in this session. Of course, if there is more interaction, I guess we will move some of these topics to tomorrow, or maybe we finish it today and then maybe we spend more time tomorrow with more interaction, let's say, because if I believe that not all the Mesa station is functional, so maybe we could take also the real case study and then try to find a solution for them or to guide them to fix their issues. So this is the planned activity. Of course, apart from this session, we also have the troubleshooting, where we already pre-cooked some of the problems and then the solution for those problems. So that will be discussed in the session 3. So for now, moving on to the installation, which is also a very important topic, because generally when some of the stations are in problem, we always get the notification from the user that they wanted to replace the hard disk or some other issue and then reinstall the PC. In the previous maintenance program, generally what we do is we guide them step by sending the installation manual or sending the steps separately. So this was actually the tedious process also from our side as well as for the user. But in this case, we created some of the videos which is going to be very useful also to use for the future. When you want to reinstall or when there is a problem, you can always um, refer these documents or refer the videos and then install it. So one of the important reference document is the Mesa Station's software installation manual. So this is available also within the Mesa Station under the eStation folder. So from the file directory, I also showed this morning the document folder where all the reference documents are put in place. So you can go there and then try to find this document, or the another option is I also uploaded in the DLP platform as well as in the Google Drive, and I also gave um, the drive link in order to access this manual. So yeah, I guess I haven't sent you the this presentation link. So if someone wish to have this presentation, feel free to write in the chat so that I can share the link and you can also have open it. Or if you already have the DLP platform, it is also available there. So maybe I also show you from the DLP platform so that you can access it directly there. So over here, okay, extend the session and then reload it. Okay, so Mesa Station installation. So when you enter in the Mesa Station installation topic, you can find the introduction where I created a page which redirects to a presentation, and of course then the small notes of what will be done in this um, session. So yeah, you can access this presentation in this way. If you have some doubts, yeah, I need the link, please. Okay, it's good that you asked. So what I do is I share the link of this PC2 session 2. Okay, you can view it. So I will copy it in the chat. Okay, yeah, I guess you asked me in the private message, but I will share it to everyone. So if someone wants to have the access, just click on the link which I put in chat, so that you will be able to open this presentation where you can access this the documentation, or yeah, you can also go to the DLP, and then in the reference documentation I gave the document link separately. So this is how you can access this document. And what is described in this installation manual is first the right configuration, basically how the hardware is configured, and how is the default configuration of a Mesa station, because it is very important to note what is the default configuration of a Mesa station, because you cannot easily install the Mesa station software in any of the PCs, because it is very specially designed for the particular hardware, and then the particular hardware configuration as well as the system configuration. So it is important to note how is the default configuration of the system, and then to proceed with the installation. So you have to definitely check this manual before doing an installation. So there is a list of steps which you have to follow before you proceed with the installation, which will be also dealt in this session as well as in this document. So apart from this checking of the default configuration, you have to you will see how to have the software, how to have this ISO in your software and burn it into a key, and then make it available for the installation. So this is also something which is very important to note here, because during the download you might face some of the issues where the installation is not complete. So you have to check if the ISO which you downloaded is 100% complete before you proceed with the installation. So that will be also given in detail. And apart from that, to verify the network configuration, because it is not easy to reinstall the software, because when you reinstall one of the PC, uh, all the network configuration will be installed with the default configuration, that is the IP and all these things. So if you change some of the IPs in other PCs, it is also important to note that you have to look at this manual to see how you have to reset all those things, or without resetting, how to change the IPs to your configuration after the installation, and how to do things before the installation. So after the installation, it is also important to note how to verify if the installation went well, and if all the components are perfectly installed, and if you see the eStation software working. So all these things are also important, which will be discussed in this manual as well as this topic. So once you install, in order to make the eStation software to process the data, the important thing is to set the thema. Thema is to set the data, and then the coverage associated with your consortia. So when you set that particular thing, it start to download the data specific to your institution, as well as specific to the coverage where you are located. So not on whole Africa. Whereas in our case, we set our theme as JRC, which covers whole Africa. So this will be also dealt in this um, manual in this session. Yeah. So installing a single PC. So in order to make it more interactive, we defined a case study where we decided to make PC2 to break. Let's say PC2 is broken, in which the both 1 terabyte hard disk has to be replaced. So as you know that the PC2 has two hard disks, which is in RAID 1 configuration. So we will see what is the RAID 1 configuration if you are not familiar with those terms. So there is a two different hard disk which is doing the same, which has the same content. So they are 1 terabyte hard disk, which is identical, and then also they are mirrored to have the same contents, same content. So if there is one failure of one hard disk, then the PC will work on another hard disk. So in case of the failure of both the hard disk, it is necessary to replace the hard disk before you start the installation and to redo things from scratch. So that is what we are going to see in this case study, where the PC2 is out of order, and initially, as I mentioned before starting to install, you have to follow the list of procedure to follow and put the other Mesa stations in the recovery mode, and then repair the PC2, and then follow these steps to install, and then do the post installation check, and then put back the system in the nominal mode. So that is what we are going to see now. So before proceeding, if anyone have the doubts in this part, let me know so I can see installation manual. And yeah, of course, yeah, thanks Viola. Viola mentioned that it is also available in the online documentation. Yeah, I didn't mention about that because I thought if everyone start to open it, maybe maybe it's good also to check if the online version is as a capacity to access from the different users. So there is the documentation here in this link, so which we all pasted in the chat, which gives also the user manual, the installation manual, administration manual, product report, and then the how to install the PyCharm, which is a specific software, and then the live USB. So the only thing which is not available in this is the TP is administration manual or maintenance manual. So we will also consider to add that particular manual here so that you also have access to that one. So whereas in the digital learning platform DLP, you can find those documents in the separate session here. So here you see the user manual, e-station administration manual, e-station product report, and the Mesa station installation manual, but not really this administration manual. So we will also try to upload the Mesa station administration manual as well as the UPS user manual to our online portal so that you can always refer here. So if I guess I didn't mention you about this online platform, so maybe I can also quickly show you. We have a website where we we put our content. So it's basically the content management system where we provide the latest news about the data, as well as the releases. So if there is new release, this will be published here. So it is also good to note to see what is the latest version which has been released and when it has been released. So all this information is available in the latest news. So when you check for your when you maintain your Mesa station, if you can always check and compare with this website if the installed packages, install station software is same as that of what is mentioned here, what is mentioned as latest package. So it is good to mention and verify here. So apart from that, we are also building the forum where we request the user to give their comments or any queries. So we will also try to give a link to have the access to some of the YouTube videos. So that will be done in the future. So going back to the installation of single PC. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we are going to have the case study where our PC2 is broken and we have to replace the hard disk, and then do the preliminary check and then install the PC2 software, and then do the post installation check, and then put back all the PCs in the nominal mode. So the first thing to check is if the Mesa station is with the default hardware, because by chance if you happen to remove one of the disk, or if you change some of the configuration differently, then the installation is not going to be successful, because the Mesa station software needs the exact default configuration, exact default hardware in order to install the machines. Of course, there is also a way to install the non-standard machines, but it is not going to be covered in this training, since it is not the case, because generally we don't suggest to install the Mesa station in a non-default standard machines. We either provide them with the virtual machine or some other form, but we don't ask them to install the Mesa station in a non-standard machine, because it is also a bit complicated for the people to understand, and it is not feasible also. So here we will check if the hard disk to hard disk is in RAID 1 configuration with a specific graphic and network card, and then to proceed with the installation. So what are the pre-checks you have to follow before you proceed with the installation? So you have to first you have to check if all the if the Mesa station is put in the recovery mode. So that is the important step before you start the installation. Then check the right configuration and check if the particular PC is reachable to other PCs. So if you happen to install the machine without the communication with other PCs, then there can be a problem that it is not installed properly, as Marco mentioned, some of the RPMs are disabled so that the UPS is not reachable, so you will have different problems. So before doing that, if PC2 is working, it is important to do this step. Of course, if your PC2 is not reachable because of the hardware failure, you can skip this step. So, and apart from that, there is steps to download the ISO, that is the ISO file from our website or from the UMatcast website, and check if the download is proper, if the download was completed successfully without any error. So That is another important check. And then another important procedure is to burn the ISO into the USB. Here we are going to assume that we are going to download the ISO and then burn it in the USB before starting with the installation. There is also an option to have the CD, but it became a non-standard or uncommon approach. So we always suggest our user to have the USB key, which is not less than 16 gigabyte, to burn the ISO which is downloaded, and then to start with the installation and then to exit in the recovery mode. So the first step is um, to put all the Mesa station in the recovery mode by mentioning which PC is faulty. So anybody have, yeah.
Vijay, yeah, sorry to intervene a second at this point. Well, now we are explaining how to do the installation, and this operation might be necessary in different situations. For instance, if you have 3 new computers, you will have to install a PC1 on software on one of them, PC2 on the second, and PC3 on the remaining. This is the installation from scratch, which is done for new stations, for instance. So there can be very, very different situations. We have seen in the past that people were reinstalling PC2 and PC3 at the same time, because both of them need, I think at this point, the software was a bit messed up, and the simplest solution was to install both PC2 and PC3. The case we took here into consideration is that you need to reinstall just one of the computers. And as an example, we took PC2. So imagine that both the right disk are broken because maybe one broke before and you did not check it. You haven't seen that that was broken already. So also the second one deteriorated, and now the computer does not switch on. I mean, you cannot really have it running, having it up and running. What we indicate in this case is the recovery mode, because one of your computer is broken, and as explained by Vijay, then you have to activate PC3 in recovery mode to also take care of the services of PC2. But at the same time, we wanted to display here in this session all the possible operations you have to do. And then, according to the real situation you have to face, some of them are going to be necessary or not. For instance, if you have the 3 computers completely new or completely broken, you cannot enter the recovery mode because PC3 is not working. And this is also not possible if you have 2 computers broken, because still the recovery or failover mode does require at least two computers running exactly. So this session is maybe the most complicated we have to organize, because at the same time we wanted to have it describing a real case situation. So one of a PC broken, PC2 in this case, but at the same time wanted to put here the overall information you might need. So okay, let's just go through that, see the different steps, the different things you have to do. And then if you have questions in order to better understand what is your situation, in order to clarify something of what we are presenting, just do not hesitate to write into the chat, but also maybe to intervene, because I think that the session is very quiet, so you can also directly intervene with the audio and ask your own question. Yeah, so thanks, Vijay, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, thanks Marco for also explaining about that. Yeah, so now we will see how to put the Mesa station in the recovery mode. Of course, yeah, that is why we split each of this video as a separate portion and uploaded there. So in case of any help, we can just send this list of videos separately, make them as a complete list and then give it to the user. So this is just a video to give an idea how to put them in the recovery mode. So the important step is you see that you have to log in as a root user to do the failover, which is the recovery. So as admin user or as a thematic user, you cannot do that. And also the important thing is you have to be in the PC3 in order to do that. So mostly, yeah, we in order to put it in the failover mode, it is the PC3 is needed, but there is also other way to do that. For now, from our case study, we are going to see how to put the Mesa station in the recovery mode from the PC3. So log in as a root using the other option by giving the root user and the password, which is a root, which is also given in the introduction manual. So once you log in as a root, you can go to the system and then Mesa Puma and then failover, and then there is a failover option. So you have to click on this one. So after logging in as a root, you go to the system Mesa Puma and failover, and then the failover again. So in order to do that, so the only thing here is after you select, you actually don't see the dialog here because the functionality is defined in such a way that you do that here and then open the user interface in the administration manual, which is a bit strange, but this was already noted to the yeah, one who developed this part. But for now, for the explanation, we would like to show how to switch on the user to administration admin user. After clicking as a root user, you will see that in the PC3 as an admin user, you will see this dialog to put the PC in the recovery mode. So this is, as I mentioned before, it is a bit strange, but this is the procedure. You don't see the dialog immediately in the root user, but once you switch back to the admin user, you see the thing here. But you don't find the option to do the failover from the admin user. So you give the option there and then see the dialog here, and then after you do so, you select which PC is out of order. So in our case, we are mentioning that PC2 is out of order. So, and now it asks you the confirmation that to put the rest of the PCs in the recovery mode. Once you're sure, and click on yes in order to put it in the recovery mode. So the password, of course, it is in the Google Classroom as well as in the DLP platform in the introduction presentation. So it takes a while to put all the configuration to put it in the recovery mode. So you wait for a while. Sometimes it also takes some time. So after it has done, just open the dashboard or the eStation software. So you see the PC2 is PC3 is put in the recovery mode. Also the PC1 once, yeah. Important thing to note here is by default the PC3 doesn't have the acquisition tab or the processing tab or the data management tab. Since we put it in the recovery mode, you see it has been done. So also I show you the tab. So you see it is the full station and PC3 where okay, I hope it's green because of the screen brightness. It is not clear. All these services are in green. Okay. Yeah. So whereas in the nominal mode, it is not the case. So you see also the recovery mode, the mode is mentioned as recovery mode. So this is about putting the PCs in the recovery mode. So you see the analysis tab along with the data processing, acquisition, and the data management. So by seeing this, you can confirm that the PC is in the recovery mode and go with the next step. Okay. Any doubt in this? Because yeah, it is a bit confusing sometimes for the user, because you have to log in as a root and then do the failover, but you see the dialog box in the admin user. So from the root user, you have to switch back to the admin user to see the dialog and then select which PC is out of order and then do the failover or the recovery, so that you see the PC if all the Mesa station is put in the recovery mode. So any doubt? I see someone. Okay, I guess yeah, it was okay. Good that you mentioned. Yeah, we haven't disseminated the latest version. Okay, it is from Tifal Sir, who asked that if there is a new version of the GMES, which is a new version of the eStation. Currently, we are preparing the new release, so soon it will be available. And maybe after this session, I can ask Marco and then let you know what is the when will be the latest updates will be released. So that is the answer for that one.
Yeah. Just to be sure, if this question is about the new version of a station or the new GMS and Africa stations, because you know what the majority of you is working on is on the Mesa station, so delivered within the Mesa project and used also in GMS and Africa. Now African Union is managing a procurement for 12 new stations. So I would ask Tifa Elzir, sorry if I pronounce this way your name from the Yahoo account, if you are referring to the software version of the station or to the new GMS and Africa stations. Because the answer is different. For what concern the new version of A Station, we are working on it, but we need to wait for the final format of the Copernicus Global Land products now migrated from Prova-V to Sentinel-3 to be there. It is not yet the case for the NDVI. So once we know and we have some sample files on all these new products that are very important for the vegetation monitoring, but also agriculture, then we are going to be able to finalize, to freeze, validate, and disseminate the new version of A Station, which is going to be done end of this year or beginning of next year. I don't think. I say possibly this year, maybe just after the Christmas break. But in case you're asking about the new station for GMS and Africa, so the 12 stations, this is ongoing. I know that maybe Meshach can at the end provide additional indication on that, because this is managed directly by the African Union Commission with a budget which is not under the responsibility of GRC or of UNESCO. So it's a bit a process where we are as, again, technical assisting institutions. So for instance, in this case, we are going to provide the final version of a station, all the data sets to be installed, and when at some point next year, the station is going to be installed by Telespazio, who was also in charge of I don't know if they already, I assume from what I know that Telespazio is going to be the contractor. I cannot really be sure about that because I'm not part of the selection process. But in any case, the contractor in charge of this supply contract will install the system with the antenna and do the installation as also now displayed by VJ, install all the data sets and so on. And this is expected to be, I think, in the first part of next year. I don't know if Meshach can complement this information.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Marco, for that. In your case, you talked about the software itself, the new version of the e-station, which you mentioned that it's coming, let's say, early next year. Same for the GMS and Africa stations. We identified 12 of them with emphasis on the new consortia that didn't benefit from the MESA or the PUMA and MSD. And the contract is actually has been issued, and Telespazio, as you said, is going to oversee, installations. And at the same time, when they're installing, they should carry out, some trainings, either 1 or 2 days to deliver the training on the installation and maintenance. So definitely this is now next year, because the earmarked amounts for this year were diverted for something else, but next year the installation will start. There was a bit of delay in the procurement process, same as the maintenance of the station's contract. So again, this is where we are, training the mathematicians from Thursday on how to use the software of the e-station as we wait for the installation of the hardware.
Thanks a lot, Meshach. I don't know if this answers the question. Don't hesitate, don't be shy, don't hesitate to write. You can also write in French. We will understand and translate if you prefer to express yourself in French. And so if there is no any other remark from the audience, I would give the floor again to Vijay.
Yeah, thanks, Marco. So let me share my screen again. Okay. Okay, so once you put the MESA station on the recovery mode, you try to check the default configuration of the write volumes, which is basically the mirrored volumes, which is created between two hard disks. Since the two hard disks are redundant with the same contents of the OS as well as the data, it is necessary to check if they are in the default write one mirror configuration. That will be explained in this video how to check it. So let me open it in, yeah. So during the startup of the PC, you will notice, okay, let me, it's not so clear. Okay, so during the startup of the PC, after you see the Dell screen, you will be directed to this screen where it gives the information about the volumes. So you see there is an option to press Ctrl I to enter the configuration utility, where you can also see it, but it is a bit quick, but you can also see directly from here, from the screen. You saw that there is a write volume and what are the physical device present. So from this also you can check if there is two physical device present, 0 and 1 as ID, which is the member disk, which is the type of the disk should be the member disk, and the size, of course, it cannot change because the default MESA station or installed with the 1 terabyte hard disk, in which 931.5 gigabyte is usable. So this is the default physical device present in the Mesa station. So you can either check from this uh, display or enter Control I in order to enter the configuration utility to see the right configuration setup. So apart from having a look at the physical device, it is also necessary to check the right volumes, because these two disks are made redundant, as I mentioned before. So the volume is created. So don't worry about the volume name. It generally by default is volume 1, and it is important to note the level of the write volume, which is a write 1 and a mirror. So this is an important thing to check if your Mesa station is in this default write configuration. So apart from that, you also check the size, status, and then if it is bootable. So once you check directly from this display, you can also proceed with the installation before without entering the configuration utility. But if you think it is going to be very quick to verify all these things, we suggest you to click on Control I, where it will be directing to this particular configuration utility, where you can also see the same disk and volume information given here, which is exactly the same, which gives two physical device, which is of member disk type, and as well as the size, and then the volume, which is the right one mirror, which is important to note because it cannot be anything else. So once you check the status, you can exit from this menu by navigating to exit, which will be shown in this video. So this is the default configuration. So anything apart from this, you have to check and then create the volume. If the volume is not created, it has to be created. So in the troubleshooting part, we are going to show how to create a write volume if it is not present, or when you replace the disk, how to create this volume. So this part on creating the right volume if it is not present is going to be discussed in the troubleshooting part. So till then, we just now we will proceed with the installation. Oops. Okay. Exit. Yeah. So this is about checking the right configuration for this particular case study. So any doubts on this or any other remarks? I see some. Did we use the old Mesa station? Yeah, I guess if you already have the Mesa station, I guess you're not going to be provided with a new station. So the one which Marco explained, the 12 new stations are procured for the new consortia, as Meshach and Marco mentioned. So the existing Mesa stations are not going to be replaced. So another question is, does it mean with disk failure of one disk station can still work? Yes, exactly. So if there is one disk failure, it work with another disk. So that is why we create a volume in such a way that anything stored in one of the disk is redundant in another disk. So if in case of any failure with a single disk, you wouldn't notice that it is failed, but as when you maintain the Mesa station, it is important to check if both the disk is in a good condition, because later on if another disk also fails, then you will have a problem. So when you maintain the Mesa station, it is necessary to check not only this configuration but also if both the disks are fine or not. So in case of failure of one disk, it is good to replace the failed disk so that you don't have a problem with the complete stop of the Mesa station or the particular PC. So yeah, okay, I hope Pilane, you got answer to your question. So any other question on the disk? And we will also, in the troubleshooting, we will also show how you can check the status of the disk, because we didn't cover it in this part, but tomorrow in the session 3 we are going to see how to check the status of each of the disk if it is in a good condition. So yeah, please, if you want to ask another question, feel free. Pilane, I'm waiting for your question. If you're typing, I can wait. There is a lot of read write on the station, so it will be ideal to replace the disk. Yeah, I guess you don't need to worry as long as once you are working. Out of caution, after how long? No, I guess if one of the disk is working, you don't need to worry at all, because um it will be returned to the working disk, and with these volumes it will be copied to another disk simultaneously. So okay.
Okay, well, I think also because we are a bit early on our planning, we can break also now. So if it
Yeah,
is fine with
sure.
everyone, we're accommodating also my participants, we can break now and come back in, I think, 15, 20 minutes, something like that.
Sure. Yeah. So you
Yes,
want to, Marco, you want to add something on my explanation? I guess it is clear,
your
but
explanation is perfect. I mean, say that basically this ride mechanism is something which is invisible to the user. So you have two physical disks, and the BIOS creates these configurations so that they are seen as a unique physical volume and logical volume. Sorry. So when you look also into the file system and do a command like df, you check the mounting points and the associated volumes, you will always see one, then a number of partition, but a single volume. And this mechanism just mirror the contents identically in this RAID 1. There are also other configuration, RAID 5, RAID 6, I mean, with a different number of disks. But these, then you have 2 terabyte of physical volume and only a bit less than 1 terabyte of logical available volume. So at the end, you pay to disk in order to have this redundancy, hardware redundancy, so that if one of them is broken, you can go on and you don't even notice that it's broken. So that's why it's important that from time to time you check this status at the reboot of a computer. And there is also a script, a bash script to do so. We are going to demonstrate it, so that you recognize then one of the two is broken. At this point, you are going to have to replace it with another 1 terabyte, still exactly the same size. And the system in the background will, well, first it flags it as part of a RAID configuration because some data has to be written in some sectors of the disk for that. And then it just copies, and it can take hours for that, but it's done in the background from the good original disk to the new one. And then you have again this redundancy of the volume. So this is important to know. I think it's clear. Thanks also for your questions. That allows us to go a bit more, a bit longer.
tomorrow maybe we will show you how to check this synchronization or this configuration when it is working, because we have the video to show when it is doing this configuration. When you check the status, it also gives you the percentage of the volume which has been copied. So this one we can see. It's good that we also captured a video of this one, so we will show that one tomorrow during the troubleshooting. So it will also give you a clear idea. So you don't need to worry or wait for something before replacing the disk. So once you find one of the disks is faulty, you just replace, create a volume, and automatically things are done. So we break now, and after 10 minutes, we can resume. Is it fine for everyone? Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Thank you.
At 15:20, we can resume if it is fine.
Okay, sure.
12, 13 minutes. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.